Hey everybody, I'm back with another video and I'm going to be filming these nails right here that I did. This is an acrylic full set. This is going to be a video perfect for beginners or anybody that just wants to see how I do my process for acrylic nails. This is going to be from start to finish and I'm going to be showing you guys everything that I'm using. So if you guys would like to see how I did that set, then please keep watching. So right here I'm showing you guys my nail tips. These are the Zule's Nail Shop extra long C-curve nail tips. It's my first time trying them out, and I just go on her Instagram and purchase them. So right there, I'm also using my Pana acrylic brush, my yakelin acosta lychee powder. This is one of my favorite cover powders ever. And then I'm also going to be using a little bit of Hidden Pleasure by Valentino, as shown right there. Every single thing that I'm using is also going to be linked down below. My two favorite drill bits that were in my favorites video. This is my Pana 5-in-1 drill bit, and then just the regular Mandrel bit. And yeah, so I'm going to be linking everything down below and kind of showing you guys everything that I do and the process that I have to go through for acrylic nails. Those are the buffers that I use, the cuticle pusher. Both of those things I actually got from my local nail supply here in San Jose. And then, so let's get started. So I'm going to start off with my favorite hand sanitizer, the Mia Secret hand sanitizer. I get it from Nail Supply Glamour. I rub this all over my clients' hands, or most of the time I ask them to just rub their hands together. And then I'm taking my cuticle pusher, and I'm going to be pushing back the cuticles very gently. Basically, I just do this to every single nail, and then after this, we're going to prep the nail with our sanding band. So I really want to take my time in talking through this video just so that all of my beginners can just see my process and how I do everything, because I do get so many questions on how I like do nails and stuff. It's just hard for me to get people to record, I guess you could say, but doing more videos like this. So if you would like to see more videos on like more designs and stuff, then for sure let me know in the comments. And if you have any questions about anything in this video, for sure leave them down below and I'll definitely answer them for you. Right here I'm just going in a very soft motion, very low speed, and I'm using the fine grit sanding band. I use a new one for every single client, so I'll use it on just one person and then throw it away and then use another one for this next person, and just like so on and so forth. So I'm just going in very gently, removing the shine from the nail bed, really making sure to get in by the cuticle. When you're using a fine grit sanding band, you don't need to be scared because I have it on a really low speed, and I have it basically on a really, it's a really low grit, I guess you could say. So because I have it on a really low speed and it is a fine grit, I really make sure to get in by the cuticle. She didn't have any dead skin, like literally at all, so I didn't have to do too much like drilling of any dead skin or anything like that. But sometimes if you get a client that has a lot of dead skin, you can for sure go in with the little cuticle cleaning drill bit. It just wasn't necessary for her nails in particular, but for sure I do that if I have to on any other client. So yeah, I'm gonna make sure I try not to leave any details out of what I do for my process, just because I want to try to help as many people as I can, especially because when I was a beginner, it was really hard for me to get help from people. A lot of people aren't willing to help, and I would just love for you guys to have like a really good in-depth YouTube video on how to do it. That's why these nails are so simple, because I wanted it to focus mainly on like the acrylic application in general, like acrylic application itself. And then for sure in the future, like literally like the next sets of nails that I do, I'm going to film for you guys and show you guys how to do some cool designs and stuff. But yeah, so I do have another how to make press-on nails video coming soon as well. So I think that's going to be the next video after this. But yeah, so I'm just going to keep doing this on all the nails and repeat the process. So once I'm done drilling all the nails, I really love to go in with one of these little manicure cleaning like brushes, I guess you could say. These are usually really cheap if you go to your local nail supply. I think they're like 25 cents or something. I have a ton of them. I think I have like 20. And for these little brushes, I also use a new one for every single client. I'm taking my KDS nail glue. And I'm going to be using this to apply my nail tips. So I just zoomed in there for you guys so you could see a little bit better. And yeah, so now we're going to be applying the nail tips. And again, the nail tips that I'm going to be using in this video are from Zule's Nail Shop. You can search up Zule's Nail Shop on Instagram, and I love, love, love her products. I also use my bling adhesive. The bling adhesive that I use is also from her, basically. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and do this. It was my first time applying these tips, but I wanted to really show you guys how I would use these. I just cut the wings off to fit her nail beds better because her nail beds are really flat. So it just depends on your client. If your client has flat nail beds, you can cut the wings off. If they have naturally curved nail beds, you can keep like the C curve, I guess you could say. And then I'm going to be filing them to her perfect size because this was the smallest size of tip and it still didn't fit her. So if you have a client with really small nail beds, you can definitely custom the tip for them by cutting off the little sides, the wings, like I did in that little clip right there. So then I'm holding it down. The glue was kind of taking a while to dry, but I really love these nail tips. As you can see, they're really perfect. I think they're a really nice length. She did one kind of like long nails, so, and I love doing long nails too, so I love these tips. And you're gonna see later that I'm gonna try to, well yeah, right here, I kind of try to flatten out the C-curve a little bit, just because her nail beds are a little more flat. You can definitely do that if you have C-curve nails, and you either don't want to keep the C-curve, or you kind of want to just keep the length. You can definitely do that, like, just press down the, like, nail tip. I'm gonna do it a few times in the video, but press it down and it'll kind of flatten it out, and you can keep the length, keep the shape without having too much of a curve if you don't want it. So after I'm done applying my tips, right here is where I'll go in and do a double check just to make sure that all the nails are really nice and straight. Right here you can tell that they're all really, really straight and they're really nice, like nicely placed and everything like that. If I ever was to have a nail that's crooked and I catch it, I'll for sure just take it off. Of course not like rip it off. I'll take it off like carefully, and then of course like redo it and put a new tip on. Sometimes there's times where I won't catch it, but my client will, and I'm actually thankful you know, if they tell me, because I know it'll bother me later on. And if I have the acrylic on, it'll just be horrible to take off. Like you won't, it'll be like a hassle. So it's better to catch that earlier on rather than later. Right here I'm taking my sanding band and I'm trying to blend the tip in with the natural nail as much as I can. I don't want to do it too much just because I don't want to thin down the nail even more, like the natural nail. And these tips are a little thick, so it was kind of hard to get it down, but I just wanted to blend it at least a little bit as much as I could. But I also had the drill on a really low speed. If I had it on a little bit of a higher speed, I could have definitely blended it a little bit better. So, but that's totally fine. So right here you can see I'm pressing down the nail tips with my thumb and my finger just to make them a little more flat. And then I'm just going to repeat the process of trying to blend the tip with the natural nail on every single one of the fingers. I did also want to say that I'm actually going in and drilling like the whole nail tip. You don't have to do this. That step is completely optional, but it is something that I do on every single client. I don't know why. It's just like a habit. But that's just what I like to do so I can see the shape better. And if I wanted to get a picture of the shape, when the nail tip's kind of like buffed like that with your sanding band, you can see the shape a lot better rather than it just being clear, in my opinion. I don't know how to explain it, but you can kind of tell here, like you can really see the nail tip because I filed it. So I do like to do that. I'm taking some scissors and just filing the sides. Like I had mentioned, these are very, very C-curved. So I'm taking the sides off just a little bit so that the nails aren't so curved down on the sides, I guess you can say. It's going to look a little weird at first, but I'm just taking some curved scissors that I got on Amazon, and I'll for sure link these down below as well. And then I'm gonna go in and fix the sides that aren't cut correctly and just, of course, you know, go ahead and shape the tips. But yeah, so I'm just gonna be cutting a little bit of the sides, and then after this I'm gonna be cutting down some of the length to the length that she wanted to get. So after we're done completely applying and blending the tips, I'm going to be using my jumbo square nail files. These are 100 grit. I also sometimes use 150. It just depends what I have. And I'm right there, I was just seasoning them, which means like you're basically grabbing another nail file and then roughing up the edges and kind of dulling it down so that it's not so sharp and you don't cut your client. So I highly recommend you do that on every single nail file that you use. And right here, the way that I shape is I just hold the jumbo square nail file kind of like really just straight with the nail. You don't want it to curve at all. Don't keep your file curved. If you guys want an updated or like kind of a more in-depth tutorial on shaping specifically where I'm talking in real time and it's not sped up or anything, I could definitely do that for you guys. Just let me know in the comments if that's something you would be interested in. But right here, I'm also just gonna file the bottom and of course keep it super straight. I was kind of trying to fix her hand for the videos because I really wanted you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. So basically you kind of look over the nail yourself. Make sure that it's just as straight as possible, but also honestly for this part you don't need to worry about shaping too much, just because you're going to go back in and file again once your acrylic is on. And I feel like that's the most important step where you should really take care of your filing once your acrylic is already on, because then you know that's going to determine your final result. So yeah, basically keeping it super straight with the nail tip. Basically, you know how like the side of the nail tip is straight, keep your file in tune with that straight line. Don't curve it, don't bend it, don't go underneath the nail, don't go over the nail. Keep it completely straight right next to the side of the nail and you're gonna get a really nice shape. So after this, the next step that I do is I grab my alcohol and then I grab my little manicure brush that I used earlier. I pump some alcohol onto that little manicure brush and I just cleanse the nails of all the dust and everything before we're going to apply our acrylic and our primer. The reason that I do this is because the alcohol will kind of help dehydrate the nail even further. I do use an alcohol that I get from my nail supply store and I think it literally says 99% alcohol or something like that, but it is from the nail supply, so it's like for nails. But that's the one that I use. I don't use anything that says like 50% alcohol or like 40% or anything like that. I always use the one that has the highest one. Right there I showed the primer that I use. It's from Tulip Nail Supply. I'll for sure link it down below. And now we're going to be going in with the primer. So the reason why I cleanse the nails first is because you don't want to get any type of dust into your primer, because it will contaminate it and it'll just make your primer not go on the same anymore, and it could potentially cause lifting the more that you use the primer if you get dust in it, I guess you could say. So yeah, I really love the alcohol. You could also use acetone and it'll just completely dehydrate the nail bed. This primer is I think it's a 4-in-1 primer, and it's amazing. It doesn't cause any lifting at all. The set that she had on before this lasted almost a month, so yeah, I highly recommend it. And I do have a lot of clients that their nails last like a month. It just depends on how you take care of them and stuff. It just depends on your lifestyle. So we go in with the primer. I do go in with 2 coats. So I'll go in with 1 coat on every single nail, and then I'll go in with another coat once that coat is dry. And then I also wait for the second coat to be dry before I apply any type of acrylic, because I don't know if you guys know this, but if you apply your acrylic right away on top of wet primer, it could cause like a chemical reaction. That's not bad or anything, but it's just going to cause the nail to heat up a little bit because the primer's wet and you're applying like wet monomer on top of it. So I'm using my Mia Secret clear powder I had in this little cute angel jar that you guys saw. And I'm going in with a thin layer of clear on the nail bed. I do this for every single set that I do. Doesn't matter what design they have. It doesn't matter if it's just like one color. I always go in with a thin layer of clear. I feel like it really helps with getting better adhesion, rather than just like slapping on colored acrylic right away. I just really love it, and it helps kind of create like a smooth base on the nail if you didn't get a chance to blend the tip in that good. You know how the tip can create like a little ridge and the nail will be kind of lifted up? If you put some clear in between like all of that, then it'll kind of flatten it out and it'll be like really smooth for you to apply like colored acrylic or your design on top of that. So this is what I do. I just go in with a thin layer of clear, and the way that I apply my acrylic, you guys will, well, my acrylic this day was specifically kind of runny because it was really cold this day, and it was cold in my room. So for all my beginners out there, when the room is really cold, your acrylic's going to be really runny, and if it's warmer or hot in the room, your acrylic's going to dry faster. So I go in with as many beads as I need for my acrylic. I know that there's a lot of girls out there that you guys will see like YouTube tutorials and stuff, and they'll do like 1 bead method, 2 bead method, and those are cool too. If I was to do like a 2 bead method for this length of nails, I would for sure need to use either a size 16 brush or probably even like a size 20 brush. It just depends, but for sure I would need to use way bigger than a size 10, which is what I'm using here. So I believe in the method for me personally works best, is the method where you literally use as many beads as you feel like you need. So I don't follow anything specific. I don't do a 1 bead method. I don't do a 2 bead method for this length of nail specifically. So it just depends. And again, if you guys have any questions on anything that I'm doing, feel free to leave comments down below. So when I go in and apply my acrylic next to the cuticle, what I'll do is I'll kind of put the acrylic next to the cuticle, but kind of further down, and I'll slowly push the acrylic into the cuticle. You can see here that that's kind of what I'm doing. Make sure to keep cleaning off like the cuticle area as I'm doing here, at least as much as you think is needed. And then for sure keep up with your sidewalls so that you maintain that shape and you have less filing to do towards the end. So right here, that's kind of what I'm still doing. Just applying the acrylic as smoothly as I possibly can, but it was really runny, so it was like kind of hard to maintain. But of course, it just depends on the atmosphere in like the room that you're in. So right here, I'm just going in with more beads at the tip. If you see the camera move a little bit, it's because my camera's like right on top of where I'm doing like the set, and my brush was like kind of tapping it a little bit. So that happens sometimes, but I do move the camera a little bit right here. So yeah. So right here for this nail, I'm finishing up using the Cover Lychee from Yakelin Acosta, the color that I was using before. And I'm just gonna finish up the cover the cover part. And I'm going in with Hidden Pleasure by Valentino. I'm just going in with a tiny little bit, kind of using it as like a shimmer top coat. Kind of like, I don't know if that makes sense, but of course it's not a top coat. I'm using it kind of just to add a little extra sparkle to the color that's already there. But Cover Lychee does have a little bit of sparkle already in it. I just wanted to add a little bit more. So I do add this to a few of the nails. I kind of just like was kind of just doing whatever. So then after this, I'm gonna go in with my Mia Secret Clear to encapsulate the whole entire thing, just so that I can add some extra structure to the nail and kind of build a little bit more of an apex. And of course, while I'm doing my acrylic, I look at the nail from all angles. So I don't know if you can tell, but throughout the whole process while I was applying the acrylic, I keep moving the pinky all around. Like, I move it like to the sides, I move it up. Right there, you saw me move it up a little bit. And that's basically just ensuring that I don't have any lumps or bumps in my acrylic. If there's a few, that's perfectly fine because you could fix it when you file it. But I want to get my application as smooth as possible so that when I go back to file, I don't even need to file as much. And I have had times as well where I literally don't need to file at all. Like, I've had some of my clients tell me like, oh my gosh, you don't even need to file them. Like, they literally look good like this. Like, so it just depends. Definitely keep up with your shape while you're doing it. Keep up with the sides, using the side of your brush to make sure that the acrylic isn't running off the sides. I hardly ever, like, never get acrylic on the bottom of, like, by the skin. I never get acrylic on the skin. It's very rare if I do, but yeah, so just make sure that you're always keeping up with it, making sure that you're holding your nail kind of like facing down. So you can see right here the nail's like the perfect thickness, and this is the thickness that she liked the most. But for sure, I highly recommend holding the nail downward. Right here, I kind of had it facing like upwards toward the camera, but this is specifically because I'm like filming. But yeah, for sure, hold it downward, and it'll kind of cause gravity to pull your acrylic downward instead of flooding the cuticle area. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's like one trick that I really, really love, and I think a lot of nail techs do. So right here, I'm starting on the next finger, and in a second, you guys might see some acrylic powder just fall all over the paper towel. Just ignore that. It was an accident. My client's baby accidentally spilled some, and she is my best friend too, so of course I don't mind at all. She actually told me to just like use the acrylic powder from there. Like, she doesn't even care, so she's super cool. She doesn't care about that. So I do still use it even though it's spilled, so just ignore that. Anyways, so I'm gonna be doing the same process on every single nail, and then of course encapsulating with the clear afterwards. So now we're going to continue on the rest of the fingers, and I did want to just let you guys know that if you are a beginner, don't be like sad about like how long you take on your nails. Um, I literally take the longest on my acrylic application. I would say it takes me like 2 to 2.5 hours for every single set that I do. Most of the time, my clients are out by like 2 hours and 30 minutes. Like, that's as long as it takes. The only time that it'll take me longer than 2 hours and 30 minutes is if I'm doing a design I've never done before, because I tend to be more nervous and I just take my time because I don't want to mess it up. Something like that. Or if I'm doing like hand painted stuff, I for sure take longer on that. So it just depends, but don't feel self-conscious about that. If your clients really like love you and support you, they're not going to care about that. I know for sure in the beginning. Like, I'm going to just share some personal stuff. Like, I am here to like be real with you guys and help you guys out with everything, but I would literally cry because I would take so long, and I felt like, I don't know why, but I just felt like I was like never gonna get faster, I guess you could say. I used to take like 4 to 5 hours on every single set, and I'm not even exaggerating that. Like, that's literally true. Like, that's the truth. That's how long I would take. And yeah, I was just like super super self-conscious about that, because you see girls on Instagram and YouTube taking like an hour and 30 minutes or like 2 hours on a set. And I just want to let you guys know that you will get to that point. And don't give up, because I know it's literally hard. Like, I would literally cry, and I would just wait for the day that my cuticle area would get smoother, and like my application would get better, and my shape would get better. And you will get to that point. All you need to do is practice, 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 and of course, ask your friends and family to let you practice on them, because I highly recommend practicing on a real person. I really feel like it's not the same practicing on a practice hand. When I was a beginner, I did have a practice hand and I would practice designs on there. But as far as your application, you need to practice on a real person. And that's like the number one best tip I can give to any beginner. Even if you have a boyfriend or a significant other, a partner, anybody, a girlfriend, if they'll let you practice on them, literally take up that opportunity. Because when you practice on a real person, you can kind of like ask them like, oh, does that hurt, or how does this feel, or does anything feel uncomfortable, so that when you guys have your actual clients, you guys will know what it's like, and of course everything like that. So yeah, I highly recommend that. Also, practicing on yourself helps a lot too, just because you can see firsthand how everything feels, how the drill feels, everything like that. And of course, I highly recommend working with the speed that works for you. As far as your drill, I do use the Melody Susie nail drill, and I really love it, and I always use a relatively low speed. The only time I do speed it up is if I'm taking bulk down off of the acrylic, like if I'm doing a removal or something like that. But yeah, so I just wanted to share a little bit of that. Let's see, what else can I tell you guys? I'm kind of just like wanting to give you guys advice and stuff. For sure, I feel like if you're planning on doing nails, or if you're a beginner, invest in a really good chair, because you're going to be sitting in your chair a lot, and I do think that's something really important that not a lot of people talk about. Like, your back is going to be killing you. Like, it doesn't matter like what you've done all your life, like your back is going to hurt so bad because you're just looking down for like hours at a time. So for sure, invest in a good chair. Another thing I just wanted to mention is that the paper towels that I'm using in this video, these blue ones, are called shop towels, and I'll also link them down below. They're super absorbent, and I highly recommend them. Ever since I started using these, I literally can't even use like a normal white paper towel anymore. Later in the video, I do use some more white ones, just because I couldn't find my blue ones anymore. I had run out, but for sure, use the shop towels. I feel like they'll help you a lot. Another thing for sure is like, if you're doing clients, just make sure that you're super super clean and sanitary. Like, don't miss any steps, don't do anything like that. Trust me, like, you wouldn't want to take the risk of anything potentially happening to your client, or even to your friends or your family. If you're doing their nails, make sure everything's super clean. Make sure your hands are super clean. My hands do look a little like crusty in this video, but this is my best friend that I'm doing nails on, so she literally doesn't care. She helped me out by letting me film the video for her on her hands. So for sure, when I do have a client, I try to keep my hands as clean as I possibly can. I always sanitize my hands in front of my client as well, and I sanitize their hands. So we sanitize our hands together so that they don't feel like I'm just sanitizing them, like thinking that I'm like, I don't want them to think that like I think that they're dirty or something. Nothing like that. I just want to make sure everything's really nice and clean. I also use a hospital grade sanitizer for my table to clean it. I actually get it from Home Depot, and I also use citrus too. And then to sanitize my actual tools, I use Barbicide, of course. So that's what I recommend for that. What I do to clean my table off after every client is I'll spray my whole table, including my drill, including my UV lamp, including my face shield, everything that I have. And I'll let it sit for 10 minutes before I wipe it down. So I usually try my best to leave 10 to 15 minutes in between each client so that I can do this. So that's another tip that I have for beginners. I'm trying to think of other things that I can tell you guys. Basically, invest in a good brush. Take care of your brushes. The way that I clean mine is I use the Mia Secret brush cleaner. I get it from Nail Supply Glamour. You can also use the Nail Supply Glamour brush cleaner. Basically, any brush cleaner will really help you a lot. I have used acetone. I use that when I don't have brush cleaner, but honestly, I don't like it because I can tell right away that it dries out my brush, but it does take your acrylic out, so it's just up to you, whatever you want to do. For sure, have some little pump bottles for your acetone and your alcohol. Keep your monomer inside of a little squeeze bottle. You can get them for like $1 at your local nail supply, $1 to $2, and I highly recommend it so that your monomer doesn't spill everywhere and you don't waste a lot of monomer. And yeah, basically, just if you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Don't feel shy to ask any questions, because I promise it's better for you to ask and then be able to get help, and then, you know, rather than just not getting any help at all. So right here, we're actually done with the acrylic application, and I'm going to go in and file the nails. Right here, I'm just kind of like pushing down the skin just in case there was a little bit of acrylic stuck by any chance. I always do this on every single person, no matter what, even if they don't have any acrylic stuck on their fingers. So then I'm taking my nail file, kind of going in from the bottom a little tiny bit, because some of the acrylic did run off a little bit because the acrylic was really runny this day. So I'm taking my nail file and going completely straight. Also, the nail tips on the bottom can be a little rounded, so I am going in on the bottom of the nail file completely straight and kind of smoothing that out. And in a while, I do change nail files also, just because I noticed that this nail file was kind of like dulling down already. So I'm not going to link these ones down below. I'm going to link the good ones down below, the ones that I usually always use. I don't know why I grabbed this one today, but right here I'm going super straight in with the nail thing, and I'm showing you guys the shape. It's super, super nice and smooth. So right here again, I'm going up against the nail. I'm not angling my file at all, because if you angle it even a little bit, it'll cause the bottom corners that you want to be really nice and sharp, it'll cause them to be round, unless that's what your client wants, of course. But you know, if your client wants a really nice shape, then for sure keep your file as straight as you possibly can. And then yeah. So now after we're done with all of the filing, I do go in with my Pana 5-in-1 drill bit. And this is one of my favorite parts because it really helps you seal the cuticle. And this also really helps with lifting. If you do this correctly and you seal the cuticle down really well with your drill bit, you won't get any lifting. So that's another tip that I could really give. When I started doing nails, I did suffer with lifting a lot. I would have clients like text me or message me that their nails were popping off in like 2 days. And that's like the worst feeling ever. Like, I remember when I would get a message from someone, my heart would sink, because even if it was like a good message, because I'd be like, oh my gosh, what happened? Like, you know, like I would be like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? Or like, you know, so of course, you know, just stay positive and really try your best to seal the cuticle area with your drill bit. And when I'm doing this, I do have it on a kind of like lower speed as well because I'm so close to the skin. But this 5-in-1 drill bit is a safety bit, so you will not cut your client. I've never cut anyone with this drill bit ever, and I've been using it for a while now. I would say like a few months for sure. So like 5 months. And I absolutely love it. So I go down the sides of the cuticles and really get in there and tuck it into where the acrylic meets the natural nail or the cuticle area, just so that you can really smooth it out and the acrylic's really nice and blended in with the natural nail. Basically, you don't want to have like a ridge where the cuticle's at. So you basically want the acrylic to be really flush to the cuticle. Kind of try to get the acrylic as close as you can. I do want to say as well that when you want to get the acrylic closer to the cuticle, it helps when your room isn't cold and your acrylic isn't runny. Because if your acrylic's super runny, you know, you can't control like where the acrylic's really gonna go. But if your room's like more warm or like the perfect like room temperature, your acrylic will stay exactly where you place it. So that's like another good tip, I guess. And then yeah, so just don't be scared to really tuck in there. So I love this like view that I'm giving you guys. I love that I zoomed in right here, because I know that I talked about this cuticle drill bit in a few of my other videos. So now that you guys are really seeing it in action, you guys can see kind of like how I use it. And yeah, so I'm kind of using it to smooth down the nail as well. Some nails need a little bit more smoothing than others, because I do just kind of add acrylic where I need it. So sometimes there's like lumps on some nails and some nails are like perfect. So it just depends. It's just all up to you and how you apply your acrylic. Of course, I'm not perfect yet. Like, I'm not where I want to be. You know, everyone has their goals and stuff. So I do want to get to the point where my acrylic is super smooth. I follow this girl on TikTok and she literally says that she doesn't even like, she doesn't file the top of her nail. Like the acrylic nail. Like her application is so flawless that she literally leaves it like that. And she can like apply her top coat. Like she doesn't even do anything. All she does is file the sides. So that's kind of like where I want to get, like a goal wise, for my application to be that amazing. So yeah, of course, you know, we all struggle just like anybody else. So yeah, and I'm kind of just smoothing out the whole nail. Also, you can take this chance with this drill bit to kind of smooth underneath the nail if you happen to get any acrylic that rolled off the nail or anything like that. You can definitely use this drill bit to clean that up as well. So now we're done with the filing, and what I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to be buffing. So this is also one of my favorite parts. I'm gonna admit, when I was like a beginner, when I first started doing nails, I didn't even buff the nails because I didn't think that it was that important, to be honest. Like, I don't know why, but I just never thought that buffers were that important. Like, I knew buffers were like for nails and that's what like everyone in the salon uses, but for some reason I just never use them. And of course, I realized later on that they're super, super important, and they really determine how smooth your top coat's gonna go on. So, of course, I'm just going in here and I'm just buffing the nails. And then after this, I'm going to be taking my little manicure brush with some alcohol again, as seen here. And I'm going to completely clean all of the dust off of the nails. This also helps, again, with not getting any dust into your top coat. You're going to see here how smooth the cuticle area is once I put the alcohol on, because all the dust will kind of go away. But yeah, so you definitely want to do this so that you don't have any dust going in your top coat and contaminating it, because it's the worst when you have a brand new top coat and you get dust in it, because it's just going to ruin the whole bottle. So yeah, that's like a really good tip that I can give you guys. And right here, I'm going to be going in with my top coat. This is the iGel Beauty No Cleanse Gel Top Coat. And look at that nail. It's so beautiful. I love this nude color with the glitter. And like I had said before, this nude color actually already has some glitter in it. So you don't need to get the Valentino Hidden Pleasure if you don't want to. You could definitely just get the Cover Lychee. And I recommend that color on its own because I use it all the time and I love it. It's really, really beautiful, and I highly recommend her products. They're really amazing quality. So I'm going to go in with the top coat on all the fingers, and then I'm going to go in with some of my favorite cleanup brushes with a little bit of acetone, and I'm just going to clean off around the cuticles, just making sure that I get off any top coat that I might have left. And of course, using my fingers to clean up the sides of the top coat as well, because sometimes top coat will run to the sides, and if you don't catch it and you like tell your client to put their hand in to cure in the lamp, you'll lose the shape of your top coat. I mean, of your nail. So for sure, you know, clean off the sides with your fingers, like I'm doing there. And I do it multiple times because the top coat will run like a few times. So that's like one of the biggest things that I learned as well while doing nails. Always cleaning off the sides, always cleaning off the cuticle area, because if there's a little bit of top coat on the skin, it'll like dry there. So yeah, I'm just doing that, and then I'm telling her to put her hands in the lamp. So now the nails are all dry. I usually leave it for 60 seconds 2 times. So I'll put it in for 60 seconds once, and then I'll tell them to put it in one more time just because I want to make sure that it's completely dry. Now I'm going in with one of my handmade cuticle oils. This is my favorite cuticle oil ever. And yeah, I just do that, and I absolutely love the outcome. If you saw that the thumb wasn't top coated, it's because I forgot. And then after I filmed this little clip, I was like, oh, I need to do your thumb. So like I forgot, but I do end up doing it. So it's so beautiful. I hope you guys love these nails. Here's a little video of them as well. And yeah, so this is the finished product. I really hope you guys love these nails. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Leave me a like, share, comment, and I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.